We're going to show great heart. DACA is a very, very difficult subject for me, I will tell you. To me, it's one of the most difficult subjects I have because you have these incredible kids.
And there's just so much pressure because knowing that, you know, with DACA, like, it's such a great opportunity to have permission to study, to be here.
You know, like, people who go to jail, they can't apply to certain jobs. It kind of feels like that. Of course, I've never been to jail, but it just feels like, no, you can't do this just because you don't have a certain document. It's stating that you were born here. And it's disappointing to not even, you know, apply to something, to have a chance.
DACA stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals.
Every 2 years that you have to renew your DACA, you have to be very careful with your information, with having everything correct. You have to go through like a background check. You have to make sure that all your addresses are correct, that you have proof that you've been here, you have like a clean record, and there's a purpose like why you're here. And for me, like, it's to study and also to work.
It's not fair to me. Like, I'm in college. I shouldn't even be worrying about stuff like this. I should be like tackling my academics, if anything, right? Or like my social life, if anything. I shouldn't be worried about, oh, you're gonna have to pack your stuff and you're gonna have to leave the country tomorrow or the next week. So like throughout that week, I did not know like what my tomorrow was.
It tore down my self-esteem because I worked so hard for over 10 years, getting good grades, doing the right things, joining sports, joining clubs, doing everything. And then to be told, oh, you can't do this, not because you're not good enough, because of your legal status, something you can't control.
I just don't know what to think anymore at this point. Like, at this point, I live my life in a mystery. I like, you know, like every day I just like, I'm a mystery Jack in the Box. Like, hey, here's what's gonna happen to you. So, you know, there's not gonna be where tomorrow I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Sure, I can apply that to my academics, but like socially and like mentally, like I don't know.
I shouldn't even be here sometimes. Like sometimes I feel like I shouldn't even be in the school, but like my mom always reminds me, she was like, you're there for a reason. She was like, I worked really hard. Like I know my mom used to work like night shifts and like she would come home super late and I like would worry, and my dad like works all day long. They do the best that they can for me to get this education. So even though like everything is against me at this point, I guess like there is that kind of like ray of sunshine that kind of keeps me going.
People I knew so close to me even voted for Trump, and I called them and I was like, do you know how seriously this affects me? Like, this is directly affecting me. And the fact that like you made that decision to vote someone who are against people like me makes me question about, you know, decisions that you make. But then again, you know, like at the end of the day, like they're gonna be my friends and they're always going to be my friends, and I don't support their decision, but like I'm civil towards their decision.
I have talked to a couple of lawyers and they've told me the same thing. I can either get sponsored or I could get married. And when you're 18 years old and you're being told get married, it broke my heart. Like that is one of the hardest things that I've had to process.
You little girl.
Did talk to a lawyer and she basically told me get married, or after college if some company wants to sponsor you they can do that, but they're highly likely not to do that because you're just one person and a company has to have such a strong reason to want to keep you here, and as like graduate, that's like almost impossible. So those are my options. That's it.
Oh no, I can't. Oh. Oh my God. Like, my parents came here for a reason. They came here for a reason. And it's so that I can have a good future. And reach somewhere further along that they weren't able to reach.
Studying abroad is my biggest thing. Like, I just get very triggered with that. Like, if people start mentioning it or like saying their plans about going to like Puerto Rico or like Italy, I'm like I just shut down when people start talking about it.
Oh, are you gonna study abroad? I'm like, no. Oh, you can't, or you don't want to? No, I don't want to. And then sometimes they push it. I'm like, I can't. Listen, I can't.
I have 3 other siblings, and I love them deeply, and they're the reason I do this. They're the reason I keep going. I don't know. I fear that if I get deported, I'm not going to be there for them. Both of my parents are undocumented, so worst scenario, they end up in a orphanage. So, I mean, that's a reality, and it's honestly a possibility. That's something that you just don't dismiss. I just call them my kids. They're that special for me, and oh God. Anyone would do anything for their family. And I'm doing this for them. I love them, and regardless of my status, I'm just gonna keep working hard.
I want more people to be aware of it and not to pity me or to be like, oh my gosh, what you do is like so hard. How do you do it? Because them feeling bad for me isn't going to change my legal status.
People are uncomfortable. They don't want to face their own privilege. They don't want to face someone who's in this situation where their life is at a limbo and they can't do anything, but they don't understand that they can, just by listening, by knowing, by speaking up for their neighbor, for their loved one. They are doing so much. Of course, you can't go into Congress and force them to sign stuff, but if people, unite, things can change. Things can definitely change.